If you love podcasting as much as I do, you may be considering starting your own. Starting a podcast has been one of the best decisions I have ever made, but getting started can feel overwhelming. Buzzsprout is the easiest and most professional way to start a podcast. Buzzsprout has helped over 100,000 people launch their own podcasts, including me. Buzzsprout will launch your show on all of the major podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play, to name a few. You also get a podcast website, audio players that can be dropped into other websites, and stats of who is listening, and so much more. Buzzsprout also publishes blog posts, podcasts, and YouTube videos every week. They are great tools and have useful information from expert podcasters. To start your own podcast and get a $20 Amazon gift card, follow the link in our show notes. This lets Buzzsprout know that I sent you, and it supports my show. Buzzsprout, the easiest way to start a podcast.
Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey listeners, I'm Amber.
And I'm Naomi. And this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos. No, you didn't glitch.
Oh, good. No freeze frame this time.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Great, thanks. This is Crime, Wine, and Chaos in the morning.
In the morning?
What's going on? In the question mark? Yeah, I know.
Yes.
It's crime, coffee, and chaos, I guess.
Well, I already had all my coffee because I'm an old lady and I only have allowed myself, I only allow myself a certain amount of coffee each day. And once I've consumed it to wake up and join the world, that is it for me. I very rarely have coffee after my morning routine.
Wow.
So I'm on to water now, per usual. I've got my water.
Yeah. I don't drink nearly as much coffee as I used to either. And I actually start to feel kind of icky if I have more than 2 cups, which is like my body is really turning on me.
Yeah. Welcome to old age. Welcome.
Ew. Okay. Well, okay. I wanted to tell you that I'm only on episode 4, but I started listening to the is it Piketown or Piketon?
Piketown, I think.
Yeah.
Piketon? It might be Piketon.
Yeah, Piketon Massacre. The fuck?
I know, right? It's crazy pants. If you guys don't know about this story, I mean, just to give you a little setup, we're talking about 8 people all related to each other in a family across, I believe, 4 different residents, all murdered in their beds, basically execution style in one night.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. And it just gets weirder and weirder.
So far, I'm hoping this part gets better, but like between the large family that was killed and the large family that they're now suspecting killed them, I'm having a hard time remembering all the players in this story. There are so many
people. I know.
So many people.
I know. And I'm on like season 4 into trials at this point, and I'm still having a hard time keeping up with who's who. Okay.
So it's not just me.
No, there's a lot of characters in this story. And I say characters because it is quite the crazy story. And a lot of them are like characters, It's pretty crazy, but awesome. I'm glad you're into it, sissy.
Yeah.
I wanted to say I felt like an asshole because I brought up the story of Trey McFadden last time and could not remember and did not write down what his actual name was so that you could go look him up. But his full name is Clifton McFadden III. And I went back and read through my DMs on Twitter, and the gal that turned me onto the story mentioned that there was some shenanigans going on there. Looks like the medical examiner bought a house from a friend of the sheriff after this like bullshit autopsy that basically closed the case on Trey, and some other weird shit going on. And this is in North Carolina, I believe, which there's a lot of stuff coming out about like the racism in the police departments, basically in the entire state. There's just like story after story after story about it. So it's just very unsettling. So if you couldn't find anything on Trey McFadden, you might be able to find it on Clifton McFadden III if you want to dig into that story some more. So yeah.
Thank you for that.
So we're not drinking wine.
No.
Did you have a good Thanksgiving, sissy?
I did. I had a very strange Thanksgiving that was different than anything I've ever done, and I kind of loved it. So I stayed home with my partner, and we had cheeseburgers and watched Christmas Vacation.
I love it. I love it. Jake and I went and did the whole go to his family thing yesterday, and there was 8 of us, and it was they put our dad to shame. There was enough food to feed 25 people, and there were 8, and we just ate for hours straight, and we left completely uncomfortable and exhausted. And I said to Jake, I said, what Amber and her partner are doing? They're staying home, just the 2 of them, and eating cheeseburgers and watching Christmas Vacation. And he was like, and I was like, I'm kind of jealous.
I mean, it was pretty great.
It sounds amazing.
It was. After the movie, we played a couple rounds of Trivial Pursuit, and in bed by 9.
I love that. I love that so much.
But
I'm so happy
sweet baby
for you.
Jake and his mom. What a gem of a human.
Oh yeah, they're the best. They're the best.
They really
I do enjoy spending time with them, and we did eat a lot of amazing food. And today I feel like I'll never eat again. And I haven't eaten anything yet. And I don't know. Today might be a day of fasting.
Yeah. Well, you got another one tomorrow with me.
I'm already making plans for tomorrow to just I've already done this. I don't need to gorge myself today. I got my turkey fill. I'm going to get a dessert size plate. And that's what I'm going to that's the amount of food I get to eat at dinner tomorrow, because I cannot do what I did to myself yesterday.
I understand.
As Amber would say, feel bad.
Feel bad. That's exactly right. Oh my gosh, sister. Good for you.
Well, Sissy, are you ready? Because I have got kind of a long one today. I didn't mean for it to be this long, but it just came out this long, and it's a bummer, and I kind of want to get into it so I can get this off me and share it with you and your listeners, and maybe transfer some of the burden of this knowledge.
Sure.
You ready for this? Okay. So this is murder in Mont Vernon.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've heard the story. You may have, but maybe you've not heard all of these details. So let's get into it.
Okay.
So Milford is a quiet, affluent suburban town of roughly 2,000 people, and it's right next to Mont Vernon. And this is in New Hampshire. We're back in New Hampshire. No bears in this story, and no frivolity. So there was only one other known murder in the Mont Vernon area, and that was back in 1840. So we're talking
40.
Wow. So we're talking this is a really safe place to raise a family, really quiet area, right?
Yeah.
Lots of wood surrounding these areas. It's, pretty low key. It's about an hour or more drive to Boston from there. And in the East Coast, it's all little tiny states next to each other. So, but I think the reason why that came up is because I believe Boston's probably the closest big city to this area.
Okay.
So 42-year-old Kimberly Cates worked as a nurse. Her family said it was her calling. She was an avid runner and a gardener, and she enjoyed staying physically fit and spending time in the sun. Kim never met a stranger and had a very outgoing personality. Her 11-year-old daughter, Jamie, attended the local elementary school and had a black belt in karate.
Oh.
They lived with Kimberly's husband, Jamie's father, David. On Sunday, October 4th, 2009, at 4:15 a.m., a 911 call came into Milford Police Dispatch. The dispatcher couldn't make out what was being said because the caller was whispering, and then the line was quiet. So the dispatcher assumed that a robbery or assault was in progress and sent officers to the address. Responding officers arrived as quickly as possible at 4 Trow Road in Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon. There was a light on inside, but no one responded when they knocked on the front door. And one of the police officers looked through a window and saw the body of a child lying on the ground.
Oh, no.
Moving ever so slightly. So the officers forced their way into the home. And it was Jamie. Jamie was covered in stab wounds. And as they attended to her and carried her out of the house, Jamie whispered, "They killed my mommy."
Oh my gosh. No.
In the master bedroom of the home, one officer found Kimberly lying on the bed, naked from the waist down, covered in blood, and she had clearly been violently murdered with something large and sharp.
Oh.
And no one else was found in the home. While waiting for EMTs to arrive, one of the officers stayed outside with Jamie, who told him 2 people had been in the house and she had heard one of them say, "Grab the jewelry." After Jamie was rushed to the hospital where her extensive wounds were treated, she was able to tell police more about what happened. And she said she and her mom had fallen asleep in her mom's bed around 8:30. Sometime later, Kimberly woke Jamie up asking her, "Did you hear that?" Kimberly got out of bed and went to the bedroom door where a man attacked her with a sword.
A fucking sword?
That's what Jamie said.
Oh my God, this is so spooky.
Yeah. Kimberly ran back to the bed to try to protect Jamie, where the man attacked Kimberly, injuring Jamie as well. The man picked Jamie up and threw her against a glass door, and she laid still and played dead.
Oh my God, so fucking smart.
So smart. She opened one eye at one point just enough and saw them stab her mom in the throat, and she saw 2 men. One was bald and one wore a blue hoodie.
Okay. Wow.
David was on a business trip in Maryland. He traveled for work all the time, so he was not home.
Oh, no.
He rushed to Boston to be by Jamie's side and was easily ruled out as involved in this brutal attack. Okay, trigger warning. Ugh. This is really graphic.
Oh my God. We're just now doing the trigger warning? Okay.
Yeah. Kimberly Cates died from 32 sharp injuries to her head, neck, torso, left arm, and left leg from 2 different weapons. She was alive for every one of these injuries.
Oh no.
Including one that broke apart her upper arm bone and 2 that broke open her skull and entered her brain.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Her throat was cut and one eye was dislodged.
Oh my God.
Obviously, her manner of death was ruled a homicide. Jamie suffered a broken jaw and a punctured lung. Part of her foot had to be amputated. And she received skin grafts for multiple lacerations that required plastic surgery. One wound fractured her skull. Her elbow was broken. She had multiple stab wounds from a small knife. Her pediatricians at Children's Hospital had never treated anyone, adult or child, with that many stab and hack wounds. Jamie would have died from the punctured lung if she had lost consciousness before she called the police.
This little girl, holy shit.
I know.
Did she crawl her way to a phone?
I think so.
I mean, oh my God, she plays dead. She's able to, God damn.
I know.
Wow.
She's amazing. She's amazing. So obviously an intensive investigation begins in earnest to find out who exactly could have carried out such a heinous crime. It was discovered that a screen was popped out of a basement window and the window itself was broken. And there was a chest underneath the window as well. And this is how they thought the intruder got in and out. But they also found that on the porch, a window AC unit had been removed from one of the windows and that was likely what had been used to enter the home. So there was apparently 2 points of entry into the house. The electricity to the house had also been shut off at the circuit breaker because there was clearly blood on the breaker switches.
Oh, no. See, when you start getting into like cutting the phone lines, and that is so fucking creepy.
Yep.
So fucking creepy.
Yep.
Oh, God. Okay.
Okay. They also found fresh tire tracks in the dirt road near the house, and neighbors confirmed that no one had parked there on that Saturday, so it was assumed that the murderers had been the ones to leave those tracks when they parked their car there near some heavy equipment and walked to the home from there. So, the day after the attack, because this, I guess, the later in the day of the attack, because the attack happened in the middle of the night, right? Saturday to Sunday. So Sunday, early evening around 5:15, a patrol officer noticed a suspicious vehicle speeding off when it saw him. He had been checking it out because it was parked in an industrial area near where some break-ins had been reported recently. He pulled the vehicle over and he took down two names, 19-year-old Christopher Gribble and 17-year-old Stephen Spader. He asked them a few questions and let them go.
Teenagers?
That same evening, Carol Fenton called the police. She is the mother of Kyle Fenton. She claimed that her teenage son had some things to tell the police. So they sent a trooper over to listen to this kid's story. And he said earlier that day, two of his friends stopped by his house to hang out. His buddy Jamie Hollins was with him, and the four of them were kicking it when these two buddies tell them they had broken into a house the night before in Mont Vernon and killed two people and stole some shit.
Jesus Christ.
Fenton said his friends even showed him and Jamie two knives that they claimed to have used on the victims, and then bragged some more that they had also used a machete.
Oh my God. Oh, you hear about this sometimes where like people are hanging out in their friend group and like confessing to these, like what kind of friend group can you imagine being that age and someone in like your, just like, oh, BT dubs, I'm sorry. Where do people like this find each other?
Oh, just wait, man.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And this is one of the reasons why I picked this story, because this is the shit that I cannot wrap my brain around. So after these two friends left, Fenton saw on the news this story about this home invasion and murder in Mont Vernon. So, right?
Yeah.
And just who were Kyle Fenton's two friends? Well, none other than Christopher Gribble and Stephen Spader. The two teens that were pulled over by that officer.
Mm-hmm.
He also named two others who were supposedly involved, Billy Marks and Quinn Glover.
4?
That's 4.
Jesus.
So the cops tracked Gribble's home address with the vehicle info they had from that traffic stop, but he wasn't at his house. So they headed over to Spader's place where he lived with his parents. And these two fuckwads are just leaving the house as the police arrive. And they have another dude with him named Autumn Savoy. These three get a trip to the station so the interviewing can begin. Gribble is dressed in all camo, head to toe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they take 4 pocket knives off of him. So by this time, it's Monday, the 5th, and Quinn Glover and Billy Marks, these other two guys that Fenton named, they're at school. A school resource officer calls the police that afternoon, and he says, hey, I've got this boy named Eldon Spikes in my office, and he's been cutting himself, and he's very scared and upset. He's telling me that Glover and Marks and 2 others have been threatening him.
Okay.
Now the police have a chat with this kid. Eldon said the day before, so Sunday, he got really high and hung out with this foursome, Gribble, Spader, Marks, and Glover, and they were going on and on about the murders they had just committed, like they were fucking cool.
Gross. Pieces of shit.
Gribble said it was awesome when he slit that girl's throat, and Spader said he wanted to do it again.
Oh my God.
They all went to a pawn shop in the mall, and they hawked some of the stuff that they'd stolen from the Cates' house. And they also showed Eldon the machete that they claimed to use. It was in the trunk of the car. And they told him that it had been covered in blood, but they had soaked it in ammonia and bleach to clean it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So at some point, this is where it gets like fucking teenagers. At some point in all this fun, Eldon gets a call from his girlfriend and she's like, hey, I heard Billy Marks was involved in some crime or something. And Eldon tells her, yeah, these guys were all gloating to me all day about this murder. And then Quinn Glover's girlfriend calls Steven Spader and yells at him for killing someone. So Spader threatens Eldon with a knife and accuses him of snitching.
Okay.
And then Gribble got... Yeah,
they're bragging about it to anybody that will listen.
and they're mad at Eldon because, yes.
He's a snitch. Okay.
Yes.
Fucking idiots. Okay.
Yeah, and then Gribble gets out a couple of knives, and so him and Spader are both threatening Eldon. And then Glover gets in the middle of it and stops them, and Marks takes Eldon home.
Okay.
And all of this shook Eldon up so bad that that's how he ended up telling all of this to his school resource officer.
Okay.
So now police are pulling in Billy Marks and Quinn Glover for interviews as well. So Glover initially cooperates. He sits with the police to talk to them. He lies first about being home and asleep the night of the murders before admitting that he had been driving around with the other three on the evening of the 3rd/4th. But then he got a lawyer and refused to talk to the police anymore.
Okay.
Glover was a Mormon who was a singer and a guitar player who performed at church functions and was also a handyman around the church.
Wow. Holy shit.
So Billy Marks was more forthcoming, and he admitted that he was at the Trow Road house with the other three. He even admitted that they all had knives. He said, on the way there, Steven Spader said, "We are about to do the most evil thing this town has ever seen."
Oh my God, I just got chills. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
So they broke in through the basement window, and Marks is the smallest one, so he's the only one who could squeeze in through that window. But he couldn't get upstairs. I think the door to the rest of the house was locked.
Okay.
So the rest of them broke in through that porch window where the AC unit was pulled out, and one of them let him in from the basement. Someone cut the power, so the house is completely dark, and they're wandering through the rooms, and he hears a woman say, "Jamie, is that you?" And "You don't have to do this."
No.
He says Spader called him to come into the master bedroom, but he couldn't see anything until Glover turned the circuit breaker back on. And then he says he saw Kimberly and Jamie and they both were already dead. So he left the room and took some stuff, and they all changed out of their clothes and went home.
Okay. Okay.
So the police pressed him, and his story changed a little bit.
Sure.
And he says that all four of them entered that bedroom together before the attack even started. He said it was dark and they were using an iPod that they had found in the house as a light. And it was then that he heard a woman say, "Jamie, is that you?"
Oh my God. So scary.
He claims that Spader attacked Kimberly right after she said that, and Gribble is the one who attacked Jamie and threw her. He said the day after the murder, the group met up and Spader and Gribble joked about all of it. And Spader said, "We broke up a family. Isn't that great?"
Oh my fucking God. What the hell is wrong with these people?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Marks admitted that he was the one who found the neighborhood that they picked for this shit. They had actually picked out the house next door to the Cates, but on the night of the crime, they changed their mind because the Cates' house had no security. This shit was completely random.
Oh my God.
He said that week, before the murder, they had all been hanging out talking about breaking into houses, and they all agreed that if they ever encountered anyone in the home when they broke in, they would kill them.
This is so spooky. I mean, obviously for so many reasons, but also like my first thought was like, this can't be random, because what are the chances that husband is out of town on a business trip and
totally random.
Like that seems totally targeted.
Totally random.
Holy shit. Wow.
So remember Autumn Savoy? He was coming out of Spader's house when Gribble and Spader were leaving and the cops were looking for them. So he initially denies that any of the teens had anything to do with the murders. And he said Gribble and Spader were at his house all night.
Okay, Autumn.
Mm-hmm. So the police weren't buying it, and they already knew these fuckers were out here bragging about it, so they kept pushing on Savoy until his tune changed, and he finally admitted that very late on the night of Saturday the 3rd, Gribble and Spader left his house and told him they were off to murder someone.
Jesus. Okay, so I don't fucking know. I'm trying to put myself in the mind frame of somebody that don't you call somebody right then? Like your friends say some shit like that and you're like, "Okay, bye, see you tomorrow." Or aren't you like, "Whoa."
He claims that he didn't take them seriously.
Because that's normal to just joke about something like that amongst your
I don't fucking know,
fucking
man.
friend group? What are we doing? Like,
I don't know.
Sorry, there was a bug.
It's fine.
Okay.
Get it.
I did.
Well, so Savoy says he texted Spader after he had left and asked him if he's out doing a job, which means a burglary or robbery.
Okay.
Spader texts back at 1:30 a.m., quote, "Busy, will hit you when I can."
Busy.
So they come back to Savoy's house around 5:30 a.m. They had called beforehand and woke him up. And when they got there, they told him what they had done. And when they showed off their blood-soaked knives and the machete.
Oh, my God.
They were also wearing different clothes than the ones they had left in. The clothes that they were wearing earlier, along with gloves and knives, were in a black trash bag. Gribble and Spader wanted to burn all their shit at Savoy's house, and Savoy was not having it. So instead, they all drove to the Nashua River, and Savoy was the one who tossed the garbage bag in around 7 a.m. And then they went to a convenience store and got a snack.
Oh, my God. These people are, okay.
So Savoy takes the cops out to where they threw the trash bag into the river, and it is still there. It got stuck against a tree not far down the river.
Fucking dumbasses.
And nearby, there are some floating jewelry boxes and a pair of sneakers and a wallet containing the name David Cates.
Jesus Christ.
There's clothes in the trash bag with Gribble's and Spader's names on the tags.
Oh, because these are children and their mommy wrote their names on their clothes.
Yes.
That's so fucking gross.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Gribble's police interview started out with him telling absolute bullshit to cover his tracks. And then once he was told that his crimes would not result in the death penalty, he started to talk. He said that the crime was a conspiracy. He and Spader were both psychopaths. That they had robbed a house near Spader's just a week before, and once they spent all the money they got from the stolen items that they'd pawned, they decided they wanted to do it again. Spader and Gribble had agreed beforehand that if anyone was home when they broke in, they would kill them, quote, for fun.
Oh, no.
And he says all four of them were in on this plan. And Savoy was supposed to be their alibi.
Oh, my God.
So the four met up at Walmart after midnight. Spader forbid any of them from doing any drugs, so they would all be totally sharp for what they were about to do. Gribble drove them all in his car after they changed their clothes and put on gloves. He dropped the other three off at the house that they had chosen and then went to park the car, and all of their cell phones stayed in the car. And this is when they decided to change the target house from the larger home to the Cates' home next door.
Jesus, just last minute like that.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Spader went in first. He let the other three in. Spader had the machete. The rest of them had knives. They turned off the circuit breaker in the hallway and searched some empty bedrooms using the light of an iPod that they found in the house. When they entered the master bedroom, Kimberly tried to turn on a lamp, but of course, no power.
Oh, God, that's so scary.
And then Gribble says, quote, Spader started hacking the woman. Steve was just hacking away. He just lost it. I was controlled, but I didn't really feel much of anything. I thought I would, but I didn't. I was actually kind of scared of him. He just kept hacking at the bed. I was backing off because Steve was losing it. End quote.
Oh, my God. I want to know what happened to this person.
Oh, we're getting into it a little bit here.
Okay.
When Jamie jumped up, Gribble stabbed her in the face and chest. He was aiming for her heart. And when he threw Jamie at the glass door, he thought she was dead.
Yeah, well, she did a good job of pretending like she was.
Kimberly was gurgling, so Gribble stabbed her in the neck and chest to try and kill her. And then Spader went over to Jamie and kicked her and whacked at her with the machete. That's when she got the head wound.
Wow.
After the killing, they searched the house for items to steal, headed to the car, changed out of their clothes, and put them in a trash bag in the trunk. And on their way home, they smoked cigars to celebrate the night.
Oh, I fucking hate these pieces of shit.
Yep. And then they dropped Marks off at his car at Walmart. And Gribble and Spader headed over to Savoy's house and told him everything. And after the snack, they checked the news to hear the reports of their handiwork, and that's when they found out that Jamie was still alive. Savoy, Spader, and Glover were all harassing Gribble for failing to kill the little girl. Spader said to Gribble, "At least I killed my bitch."
Okay.
According to Gribble...
Oh, my God.
I know.
Why? Naomi, why?
Do you want me to stop?
No, I fucking hate these people so much.
Okay. According to Gribble, Spader had started a, quote, brotherhood.
Uh-huh.
They were called the Disciples of Destruction.
Oh, my God.
And this murder was something of a test for Gribble and the other two teens. He said that he had lied to police, Gribble did, because he was afraid that Spader might kill him. He said Spader was, quote, the real deal.
Oh, uh-huh. Sure.
From Gribble's statement to police, quote, "Steve and I are pretty messed up people. I'll be pretty honest. I've been wanting to kill someone for a long time. It's like an urge. And it was kind of a time I thought I could get it out. But I thought at least I would feel bad about it. I'm almost sorry to say I don't. I'm not sure why, but I'll be honest with you. I can't say I was sorry about it. I just felt nothing. It was kind of cool because it was different. But I'm not sure if I have a conscience anymore." End quote.
Oh, God, something is deeply fucking wrong with this person.
Well.
Oh, God.
Yeah, his only regret was that he did not kill little Jamie. He said that if he had realized she was alive, he would have killed her.
Wow. What kind of fucking monster.
Quote, "I'm kind of surprised that she's alive. I kind of wish she died for her sake, just because she's going to have to live with all of that now. If I'm going to kill someone, I'm going to have to do it so they don't have to sit and live with a bunch of trauma. I've been through so much trauma. I don't want someone to go through that. So if I can just end it for them, I would. If I had realized she was still alive, I would have ended it for her because there was no way she could recognize us as far as we knew. So we didn't really care about that part." End quote.
Fuck. I'm speechless. And what a weird dichotomy that, like, somewhere in a very fucked up way embedded in that is that he cares about the trauma for her, but
right,
like, what the fuck is going on?
I know.
Okay.
There's really no unraveling this. So eventually Gribble led the police to a spot in the woods where they buried some of the knives along with the necklace that they stole that they couldn't pawn.
Okay.
So Spader's story was 100% bullshit. He said he did not commit the crimes. He did not know who did it. Whoever did it should get the death penalty. And on the 4th, he was at the mall with Gribble while he pawned jewelry. And then Spader lawyered up and wouldn't talk to the police.
Okay.
Spader had quite the record already at 17. Marks and Spader had been arrested together a month prior for marijuana possession, and they had been arrested together prior to that after chasing a group of teens in another car and ramming the vehicle. There was also domestic incidents, stealing a car stereo, criminal trespass, disorderly conduct, and resisting detention. He had a charge for interfering with the custody of a minor. His girlfriend's dad had obtained a restraining order against him, and then 3 months later, the two teenagers ran away together. Her father pressed charges, and Spader pled guilty to criminal trespass, and the more serious charges were dropped. The girlfriend's father said that Steven Spader was a nightmare who would not go away.
Oh, no.
Spader continued to see this girl, and she got pregnant, and they announced on Facebook that they were getting married. After the murder, she changed her mind and had that baby while he sat in jail on murder charges and has nothing to do with him.
Well, fuck, she's got his baby. Oh my God. I can't imagine anything worse as a parent than your child. Like, hey, I'm having a baby with this. Oh my God.
Yeah. So Spader is charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder, conspiracy to murder, and along with a bunch of lesser charges. And he pleads not guilty. Mm-hmm. One of the days during his trial was his birthday, and he asked his attorney if the jurors might sing him happy birthday with a joking grin. There was no DNA or fingerprint evidence connecting him to the crime, but there was plenty of circumstantial evidence that did, plus all his fellow pieces of shit testified against him. Here's what we know. Spader was adopted. He was a good kid until sophomore year when he started to go off the rails. He was supposed to be medicated for bipolar disorder, but he often went off his meds. He did a lot of pot and speed. He was in and out of treatment. He dropped out of school. He was supposedly in therapy. He threatened more than once to kill his parents. He was a cutter. He burned himself. And Pierce testified that he was a psychopath. He talked a lot about killing and hurting people in all kinds of ways. And of course, the Disciples of Destruction nonsense. Uh-huh. He was the self-appointed president of this club or whatever the fuck that he started. So all these other guys are claiming Spader is the leader. He's the most evil one. This guy threatened 3 witnesses in his trial while they were on the stand.
In court?
Yep.
Holy okay, that's gutsy. What are we doing?
He is insane. So Spader wrote notes to another dude in jail that had basically pretended to be his friend, and this dude saved all of these notes for his own benefit, right? Like to get some, I'm sure lesser sentence or release or whatever. Uh-huh. So some of these notes were read at trial. He admitted in one of these notes that he whacked Kimberly 36 times. He said he could see brains and lots of blood and that her eyeball was hanging out of its socket. He said, quote, "It was such an adrenaline rush, I almost hit Gribble with the machete," end quote.
Whoa. Okay.
He told this guy that he was the most sick and twisted person he would ever meet. He found torture highly enjoyable and death does not frighten him. Blood excites me. He said, "I've got more shit wrong in my brain than you can think of, but such is life."
Oh no. Yeah, something is very, very wrong with this person.
Really
Jesus
wrong.
Christ, yeah.
Jurors deliberated for 90 minutes and came back with guilty on all counts. This was on his birthday.
Oh.
And he got mandatory life without parole with a consecutive maximum sentencing on the remaining charges of 70 years.
Good.
So Gribble was described by various people as a total dork, awkward. They said he rambled on about uninteresting topics. Girls called him Creepy Chris.
Oh.
He dressed in camo gear all the time. Autumn Savoy said that Chris was Robin to Spader's Batman.
Okay.
Gribble pled not guilty by reason of insanity. And on the stand, he claims all kinds of disturbing nonsense, which may or may not have been true because he was clearly hoping to get the insanity charge instead of going to prison. But the jury wasn't buying it. They found him guilty in all charges after 2 hours. He received mandatory life without parole, and they added 50 years to life plus another 52 years on other charges.
Holy shit. And this is, sorry, what year is this where they're being tried?
Their trials were, I think their trials were all in 2010.
Oh, fuck. And they're all under 18, right?
Except for Gribble. I think Gribble is 19.
Okay.
Marks pled guilty for a reduced sentence. He received 30 to 60 years for conspiracy to commit murder and burglary and accomplice to assault. Glover pled guilty and testified against all the others, and he received 20 to 40 years for robbery, burglary, and conspiracy to commit burglary. Savoy also pled guilty and received 5 to 12 years for 2 counts of hindering apprehension or prosecution and 1 count of conspiracy to commit hindering of apprehension or prosecution for throwing the evidence bag into the river and lying about the false alibi. He was paroled in 2015 after serving 5 years.
Okay.
Glover, Marks, and Savoy all agreed to testify against Gribble and Spader, whose murder charges are an automatic sentence of life in prison. New Hampshire has the death penalty, but only under specific circumstances, which this crime did not meet, and they effectively don't have a death penalty because they haven't executed a prisoner since 1939. But in June of 2011, a bill is passed in New Hampshire to include the death penalty for murders committed during burglaries and home invasions. And the bill was named after Kimberly Cates.
Oh, wow.
Jamie attended her mom's funeral in a wheelchair and returned to school October 27th. Jamie and her dad remain extremely close. Jamie graduated from the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, where she played field hockey and studied public health. Each year, on the anniversary of the attack, David Cates and Jamie host a golf tournament to raise money for a scholarship in his wife's name. Many of the police officers and prosecutors who worked on the case participate, and to date, the Kimberly L. Cates Memorial Scholarship has given out more than $250,000 in scholarships.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that is the murder in Mont Vernon.
That was fucking terrible. That might be one of the most terrible things I've ever heard.
You know, the ones that get me, the ones that stick with me are often the ones that's like a group of teenagers doing something so fucking monstrous that I can't even. Those are the ones that like often stay with me and like kind of haunt me. I'm Jake and I have talked about this a lot. Like I am endlessly, like morbidly fascinated with the weird fucking places that like groups of teenagers are willing to go together. Like there's definitely something, because it's like when you hear about serial killer stories, for example, where there's like more than one person as an adult, it's like, wow, somebody found like that one other person in their life that's like as disgusting as they are. Like that's amazing that they even found each other. But then you hear a story like this and it's like, there's 4 of them.
I know.
How did 4? I mean, technically 5 if you count Savoy, who really didn't participate, but he was gonna like cover it up, kind of like 4 people in this 2,000 person town are willing to be like monstrous murderers together.
I know. And I wonder too, like thinking back to my teenage years, nothing at this fucking level, obviously.
No shit.
It was pretty easy for me to go along with things that I knew in my gut didn't feel right. Because I hate to use the word peer pressure because it's so fucking trite and ridiculous, but I don't know. I don't know. Easily able to be swayed to do things that I otherwise would never do on my own. You know, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I hear you. I don't know what it is though, because what are the chances that all 4 of them are actually like psychopaths?
I mean, I don't necessarily think that Billy Marks and Quinn Glover were psychopaths. They might have been dirtbags. They were clearly like fine with, you know, breaking and entering and stealing from people, which, you know, is fucking shitty, but it doesn't make you like an absolute, you know, monster. It makes you kind of a piece of shit. But like, I think that if I'm really thinking about it objectively, Marks and Glover probably didn't actually think that they would kill people. You know? Yeah. Like, they're doing that machismo thing, that whatever, male teenage peer pressure thing where it's like, oh yeah, we're bringing knives. Yeah, we're tough. But they're not actually like that. But Gribble and Spader were both fucking like broken.
Yes.
They were both super into it.
Oh,
even if
God.
Spader was more into it or he was the leader or whatever, like Gribble was lapping that shit up.
God.
He was all about it.
That is so disturbing. It's so fucking disturbing. And the parents of these boys is like...
Can you imagine? So Spader was
No.
adopted and, you know, he had been this great kid all the way up until like sophomore year and he just like turned on a dime and they couldn't not control him.
Yeah.
And Gribble, like, he made all these claims on the stand that, like, his parents were awful. His mom was super abusive. He hated his dad. He dreamed about killing his parents and all this kind of stuff. And, like, the machete and one of the knives, or at least the machete, came from Gribble's house. It was actually his dad's machete. I think they got it out of the garage or the shed or whatever from his dad. But his parents were like... None of that is true. Like, we've never been abusive. I don't know what he's talking about. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. God.
I don't know.
Well, that was fucking dark. Thank you for that.
Yeah. You'd never heard that story before?
No.
Okay.
No. God.
Okay.
That's fucking spooky.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I gotta give a shout out to True Crime Garage because they have a 2-parter on this and I got a lot of my information from them. I did some other digging, like for some, you know, articles and stuff too, to get as much information. I tried to get more information on Jamie and Kimberly and, you know, there's just not as much. I think partly because they were just like lovely human beings. And what more can you say than that?
Yeah.
And these guys are like a fucking train wreck shit show that you can't stop staring at. So there's a lot of information on these guys.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
Ugh. Yeah.
So there you go.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for that. I wish Jamie well. That's
Me
what
too.
a tiny badass. Holy shit. Okay. Well, I have also a bleak chaos, so
I love that for us.
I'm really sorry.
Let's just keep riding this depressing train.
Uh-huh. So I think, like, I don't know how many episodes ago, a long time ago, this was touched on in one of Erica's episodes where she just kind of did a quick synopsis of multiple different things.
Okay.
And so she had done one where it was like contests that have gone wrong. And
yeah, I have a vague recollection of that. Yep.
Okay, so I have the full story of this radio
I
contest.
I love a full story. Yeah, give me all the gory deets. Let's do it.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty bad. So it's 2007, and Jennifer Strange, who is the mother of 3, wanted to get her kids, you know, the item of the year, which was the Nintendo Wii.
Okay.
So it was extremely popular and very difficult to get, and a local radio station in her town of Sacramento, KDND-FM 107.9, was having a contest called Hold Your Wii for a Wii.
Oh my God. Are we talking about pee?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Can we do like just a tangent for a second? Because
Yes.
this is reminding me of that period of time for like quite a few years where you were just constantly winning things off the radio.
Constantly.
All the time. Amber was like a lightning rod for radio contest winning. And it was like, she was like every few days she would like, seemed like every few days or every few weeks she would send a text to the family or whatever and be like, I just won $1,000 from my radio station, or I just won a pair of jeans. I don't remember. I think you got Britney Spears tickets one year, or was it Katy Perry?
Perry tickets. I got LMFAO tickets. I got Beats by Dre. I got $1,000. I got $500.
At one point, I think you actually couldn't win because you had won too much. You were like, you were like put in timeout by the radio station because you won too many times.
Yeah. Yep. One time I had to do like my best. It was down to me and one lady to win backstage to meet Taylor Swift. And this was when Jade was like, I don't know, 12 and like
a full Swiftie at the time.
Yeah. And the other lady won and it was like devastating. But,
you never had to hold your pee.
No, I had to sing
win
one
anything.
time. I had to do my best teenage impression. Yeah, but I never held my Wii. No.
Okay, so tell me about holding your Wii for Wii, because this is weird.
Yep. So contestants would be given a bunch of water, and whoever could hold their pee the longest would win the Nintendo Wii.
So this is like an in-person contest?
This is in studio, yep. Mm-hmm. So Jennifer,
how did they? I'm sorry.
No.
I don't want to jump the gun.
No,
do they?
please.
How do they determine who gets to come into the studio to do this?
I don't know if they did a drawing. She was one of 18 that they allowed in, and they're not like in the studio, like in the tiny studio. They're in some sort of like adjacent, like green room with windows, so they can see them.
Right.
And they're talking about them on the radio, but
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that they would bring one or two contestants into the actual booth every so often and check in.
Sure. Sure.
So that's what they're doing. So, and this is on their morning show. So they started at 6:20 a.m. and every 10 minutes they would get an 8-ounce glass of water to drink. And the DJs are regularly...
That's a lot.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Also, like... I don't know. If I was doing this, like, can't you just like put on a diaper?
Like that lady who was the like NASA employee who put on a diaper and drove like overnight to go stalk her ex-boyfriend.
Oh, what? Oh yeah.
I was like, maybe I'll save that for a chaos story. No, keep going.
Put on a diaper. Keep going. Okay, so
I'm actually wearing a diaper right now so that I don't have to stop mid-podcast and go to the bathroom.
Perfect. I support that.
Mm-hmm. It's hardcore. Keep going.
Yeah. So the DJs are regularly checking in with them, and I guess, it sounds like this is their maybe alternative rock station, and the vibe I got, and I feel strongly about some of these in our own hometown, is just like kind of douchey dudes with their
shock
morning
jocks.
show. Yes, thank you. That's exactly
shock
what's
jocks.
going. That's exactly what's going on here.
They all saw Howard Stern get famous for being like that, and they thought that was like the magic formula for radio programming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's what's going on here. So, they're laughing at the contestants and all the things. But several listeners are calling in and telling the DJs that what they're doing is dangerous.
Yeah.
One of the callers that calls in is a nurse, and she's like, you could get water intoxication for this. And the DJ said, quote, yes, we are aware, but they signed releases, so we aren't responsible.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. So slowly contestants start dropping out because it's too difficult, but Jennifer was still in it. And at one point, one of the DJs calls Jennifer over, and he asks her, if she's pregnant because her tummy is so bloated.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh. And one of the other DJs in the room was like, she can't even walk.
What?
Mm-hmm. Like her tummy was protruding so much that she looked like she could have been 4 months pregnant.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
How long are we into it at this point?
We're a couple hours in.
So
no, we're an hour and a half in at this point. Yeah.
So I'm not good at math, but I think that's 6. That's 9. That's 9 times that she's drank 8 ounces. Mm-hmm. 9 times 8 is 72.
Yeah, I think like the recommended daily intake is like 90 ounces.
Well, it depends on how big you are and how much activity you're doing. But I mean, like, it's basically like whatever the number is in pounds that you weigh, you're supposed, like, it's you for like super cleanse, you would drink like half that in like the same number of ounces. So like if you weigh 130 pounds, then you would drink, I would say 140 because I'm bad at math. That would be 70 ounces that you would drink in a day.
And that's an average size person. And Jennifer she was a little bit on the smaller side. So basically she's consumed what she should have had in the entire day.
In like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So they call her in, they're talking about her tummy. And this is the first time that you actually hear Jennifer speak on the air. And she says, my head hurts.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Later on in the show, one of the female DJs says, can you get water poisoning and like die?
Like, could you die from this?
And one of the douchey DJs, well, they're all douchey, says, not with water. Your body is like 98% water. Yeah,
these people are idiots.
Yep. And then the female DJ says, maybe we should have researched this first.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Did you say there were nurses on staff? There's nobody there monitoring
it was
these people.
A nurse that called in and said, what you're doing is dangerous.
There was nobody there with medical experience. They didn't talk to a single person who knew a thing,
No. Oh, so this morning show is only 3 hours long, and it's getting close to the end of the show, and there's still several people hanging on in the contest, and they wanted to be able to declare a winner before the end of the show, so they increased the amount of water that needs to be consumed every 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. And as soon as they did this, people start dropping out.
Uh-huh.
So in the third hour, it was down to Jennifer and one other woman. And Jennifer's stomach is very unnaturally distended. She had consumed close to 2 gallons of water at this point. Uh-huh. And
well, I mean, they all had at this point.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Her and this other woman were both okay.
Uh-huh. Yep. And Jennifer's head was hurting so bad that she couldn't take it anymore, so she dropped out of the contest and the other woman won.
Okay.
So she leaves the station, and in her car, she calls her supervisor, and she tells them that she wasn't going to come into work that day, that she needs to go home and lie down. And while she's on the phone, she starts crying. And yeah, that was the last time anyone spoke to Jennifer.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. A few hours later, her mom discovered her dead.
Oh,
I know. She was 28 years old, and the coroner report listed her cause of death as water intoxication, and the medical term for this is hyponatremia, which is a condition in which your sodium levels get too low. Yes. So, real quick, signs and symptoms of hyponatremia include nausea, vomiting, headache, short-term memory loss, confusion, fatigue, loss of appetite, irritability, muscle weakness, spasms, cramps, seizures, and decreased consciousness, or coma, or death.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In severe cases, your brain swells and pushes against your skull, causing a massive headache, which is what was going on with Jennifer. Yeah, so fucked up. After Jennifer's death, one of her friends called the radio station and told them that she had died.
They didn't know?
No. Mm-mm. No. Yeah, it's so fucked up.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. So the following Monday morning, the DJ showed up for work and the station fired them and advised them all to hire attorneys.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. A total of 10 people were fired because of Jennifer's death, and law enforcement launched a thorough investigation of her death to try to determine if there was any violation of the law.
There wasn't.
Nope. After a few months of investigation, the prosecutors declined to press charges. They determined that what the radio station didn't raise the level to criminal activity. They said that Jennifer knew what she was getting into and that she had the option to quit at any time.
I mean...
Yeah. Oh, and this wasn't confirmed, but because the contestants were in another room, like in a green room, they are pretty certain that when callers were calling in and telling the DJs that it was dangerous and that people could die, that the contestants weren't able to hear that.
Right. I'm sure they weren't.
Yeah. Yeah. In September of 2009, Jennifer's family files a wrongful death lawsuit against the station. Roger Dreyer represented Jennifer's family, and he said that the radio station didn't care about anything but their ratings.
Well, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Were the shock jocks included in that lawsuit?
I think so.
I hope so.
The attorneys for the station said that how could they possibly have known that water was dangerous, and that Jennifer should take some of the blame because she was willing to participate and continued in the contest even after she was in pain.
I mean, of course they argued that. That's what fucking lawyers do.
I know. But it's like, I don't know. The jury deliberated for 2 weeks and ultimately sided with Jennifer's family. Jennifer's family was awarded $16.5 million.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Well, at least her kids will be taken care of. But oh my God, she had 3 kids.
3 kids, yeah. They also determined that the parent company of the station, which was Intercom, was not responsible. The local station should have kicked the contest idea up to their parent company first so that it could be vetted by legal, and that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the latest update, I think, from 2017 was that basically the station went bankrupt, and it's
good.
It's not even in existence anymore.
Good.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be.
No.
Oh my God.
I know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, it's, the dose makes the poison.
Mm-hmm.
Anything in the wrong amount can be poisonous to the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure at this point, everybody knows, like, that's one of those, like, quote unquote fun facts or whatever. Like, you can die from too much water. Like, people know that.
Yeah. And I feel like I didn't jot down his name, and I'm sorry, but one of the other things that had happened recently was a young man that died from water intoxication, and it was part of a college hazing. And someone called in and was like, hey, this just happened. This so-and-so just died from this exact thing. And the DJs were like, this isn't the same thing.
How is that not the same thing?
I don't know.
Oh my God. I hope these DJs are like penniless and working at like a shitty fucking, I hope they're working at an off-brand fast food joint now
I do too.
to pay the bills. I mean, seriously.
Right off.
What a bunch of fucking pieces of shit.
I mean, the whole thing too is like, even if it wasn't dangerous in the or death was an option, it's really fucking uncomfortable. Like, why is that funny entertainment? Like, oh, your belly's protruding and you're uncomfortable and your head hurts. Ha ha ha. Like, why is that funny?
I don't know.
Like, what's wrong with like a trivia game, or you know what I mean? Like, why do you need to make people physically uncomfortable and in pain for a fucking contest? It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. That was my chaos. It was fucking bleak, and I'm sorry.
Well, guys, I appreciate you listening to the Downer Hour with Amber and Naomi today.
Yeah, we're easy like Sunday morning over here.
Except it's actually Friday morning.
Oh, yeah, it feels Sunday adjacent because it's Thanksgiving.
It feels Sunday. Yes, it feels because it's Thanksgiving weekend and we didn't have to work yesterday, and it feels like Sunday.
Today. Yeah.
No. Wow. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Follow Naomi on the Twitter at @MissNomers.
MISSGNOMERS. What about the Crime Wine Pod? Where can people find you, get in touch with you? Like, how do you tell us about how you're tired of bummer stories? Like, what do we?
Sure.
Where's your complaint? Where's your complaint department?
We've got a complaint department. Chit chat at us at crimewineandchaos.com, or you can reach out on Facebook at Crime Wine and Chaos, or on Instagram at Crime Wine and Chaos Pod.
I love that. I hope you guys send us all kinds of angry messages, or like tears. Like, send us your tears. We're sorry. We apologize. This is what we do.
Story suggestions too. We take suggestions.
Yeah. Oh, we love a suggestion. Rick sent us one, and it was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Always down for a good suggestion. Also, we're constantly on the lookout for stories, so please help us help you.
Yeah. How could Jerry Maguire. Well, this was
so chaotic.
Chaotic. Bye.
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 Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Crime, Wine, and Chaos. The podcast art was done by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. You can find us on Facebook at Crime, Wine, and Chaos, on Instagram at Crime, Wine, and Chaos Pod, or check out our website at crimewineandchaos.com. Cheers!